Hi everyone, today I am talking about how to prioritize yourself and your needs. Something that's really, really important and comes up a lot with all the mums that I work with, especially. So let's get straight into it. A quote that I always use, and something that I'm sure that I've told many of you who do work with me, is that as mums, we will always put our kids first, right? But that doesn't mean that we should be putting ourselves last. And that's something that I really want you to think about whenever it comes time to making a decision. Do not put yourself last. We cannot be our best and give our best if we're not taking care of ourselves mentally and physically. We know that. So it's really important to prioritize ourselves. Of course, we know how hard this is. When we have kids, they can be demanding, families are demanding. And I know this personally as a single mum, trying to take care of my kids on my own for a majority of the time and also manage my businesses and try to work. I also have to negotiate with an ex-husband. So we all have our package and we all need to learn how to deal with our package as best as we can. But there are a few things that we can do for ourselves to make sure that we are managing things better. So I know that I'm a better mum when I feel calm, when I'm organized, when I'm happy. That reflects onto my children. And I'm sure that you'll agree that you're a better person to be around when you're healthy and happy. So, one of the most important elements that help us to make good decisions and to feel good and to have energy is to prioritize our sleep. And this is something that is so underrated. It's an aspect of our lifestyles that I bring up quite often, that people aren't sleeping enough or they're not getting enough solid sleep. That's something that I talk about often in my Zoom talks. And it really does have a huge impact on how we manage ourselves. So prioritizing sleep is really important. If you are the kind of person to wind down at the end of the night, perhaps have a binge on Netflix, perhaps have a scroll through your phone, which is extremely addictive, and, that's something that is really hard to escape, but it's time to set a limit to doing that. That will make a huge difference to your life. And really, it's a matter of just setting yourself some rules and saying from a certain time in the evening, that's it. Lights out, time to switch off, or bedtime is at a particular time. So you might also be able to free up some time by doing that for real self-care time in that evening time slot, where in the past you might have mindlessly been scrolling or watching shows. In that sort of time frame, you could take a bath, you could take a walk, you could meditate, yoga, whatever it is that you want to do to relax, but perhaps also being productive in your self-care for yourself. So you could say, well, watching Netflix is relaxing, but it's mindless. And so I'm talking more about how you can give back to yourself and nourish yourself in that time slot. So once you do get better sleep, you're going to feel a whole lot better. And then once you're making more time, using that time more valuably, then you'll feel a lot better as well. The second thing that I just want to raise before I get into some actual tips on how to create that time is to just be kind to yourself. I know it doesn't sound like much, but the way that you speak to yourself constantly can change the relationship that you have with yourself, your dynamics, your energy levels, your outlook on life. So really watch how you talk to yourself. As mums, we have really, really tough jobs in this amazing, crazy world. And I want you to acknowledge that you are doing your best and be kind to yourself in doing so. It's easy to beat ourselves up, but just think about how you talk to yourself, and that can also change the way you move forward throughout your day and the decisions that you make. So, one of the best and easiest tips that I can give you is genuinely to dedicate 20 minutes a day to yourself. And this can sound overwhelming at first, but think about 20 minutes in your day. Instead of thinking of it as taking away from the productivity of your day, if you gave yourself 20 minutes to refresh, to feel calm, to feel good, to feel energized, you're not going to decrease your productivity, but you're actually going to increase it because you're going to feel so much better. You'll probably work more efficiently, clean the house with more vigor and energy. So 20 minutes set aside for you to do whatever it is that you want, whatever you need for yourself in that time. If it's just sitting on the couch and having a tea and biscuit, if it's going to do a 20-minute workout, maybe it's going for a massage, maybe it's taking a nap. Whatever it is, I'm pretty sure that we can all find 20 minutes in the day for ourselves. And as I said before, you might need to clear that time out in the evening. It might be something in the middle of the day, whatever works in your schedule. But if you don't actually carve it out and set that time aside, then it probably isn't going to happen. And maybe that's why you're burning out as well. So set aside that time, schedule it into your diary if you have sporadic schedules. But if you're someone like me who makes sure that they have every day at midday, 1 o'clock, whatever it is, that's my 20 minutes, half an hour of me time, then I know that I'm a lot more productive for the rest of the day. The next point, which is something that I raise all the time, once again, is being self-care for yourself means eating right. So nourishing your body so that you can feel better in your body, feel better in your health, and just overall feeling better about your choices. So nourishing yourself is showing yourself that you can be disciplined and treating your body like the amazing temple that it is. So making sure that you make those choices. Once again, you probably need to plan for it, that I talk about a lot. Planning the food so that you are successful in what you want to eat and what you deserve to be eating to nourish your body. Moving on to social media once again, I believe that social media is a real negative energy drainer, and I really want you to think about it, and I want you to consider that if you are someone who spends a lot of time mindless perhaps on social media, to really limit your check-ins. I want you to really think about what you gain from the time that you spend on social media, and then sort of limit who you're potentially exposed to or what you're exposed to so that you're not mindlessly getting trapped in following different stories or things that don't necessarily make you feel good as well. So I personally very rarely scroll. I don't have the time to scroll, and then I make sure that I don't get trapped in stories that are not relevant. So I only follow people who are educational to me, that I know I'm going to learn something from. I don't really need to see what my entire community are getting up to, what they're having for dinner. I get enough of that from my clients. So for me, I find that my friends, my true friends, will update me. If there's anything important, they'll let me know. And I don't need to be scrolling and constantly wasting a lot of my very limited free time on things that don't really matter. There are a variety of studies that show that too much time spent on social media can stress us out. It can leave us anxious and depressed. And ironically, it can increase feelings of loneliness. So even though we think that we're connecting with people, we're actually not. So the point that I raise with social media also is an important point for your own self-care, which relates to comparing ourselves to others. And when you're on social media, it's very easy to get into that, to fall into that trap. So a big part of self-care is to not worry about anybody else and to really focus on your own journey. Too much comparison can lead us to unhappiness and low self-esteem. We can become very frustrated with ourselves for perhaps not being good enough, or we sort of get angry with others for behaving in a certain way. Often when there are feeds or stories where you might disagree with somebody's opinion, and people can get quite stirred up by that. So once again, being really limiting the exposure that you have. We all know that it doesn't matter how much money somebody else has, what clothes they wear, who they're friends with, what their bodies look like. It really doesn't matter, because we are not in anybody else's shoes. We are in our own shoes, living our own lives. And so I want to remind you, for your own self-care, to focus on you and your important people in your life, to spend your energy on those people, surrounding yourself with people that make you smile, that people make time to do things with you, and you want to make you want to spend time with those people that genuinely make you happy. I always think it's important to try to set aside some time every weekend to be social with people who really matter. And it's also okay to say no to other people. That is protecting yourself for your own self-care. Once again, it's okay to say no to your kids sometimes as well. And you don't always need to give reasons, and you definitely don't need to justify yourself to other people. You need to be choosing you, and you should be choosing you. And that is the way that you move forward with self-care. Set aside the time, learn to say no, and prioritize your needs. I've written a very quick list here of different ways that you can say no. So some of them are, more relevant than others, but in very simple terms, number one, saying, sadly, I have something else on. I have another commitment. I wish that I were able to. Number 4 is simply, I'm afraid I can't. I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. I'm honored that you asked me, but I simply can't at the moment. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm sorry, but I'm not able to fit this in. So just a few ideas there of different ways that you can handle, gently, politely turning people away, and making sure that you set aside that time for yourself. If you do have any questions, please let me know. I hope that this was helpful. It's a short and sweet, little reminder to prioritize yourself and to do some things that will make you happy.